Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track by an ex named Mighel Akando titled Solo Missions, which has been produced by Unknown. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves the track on YouTube. I think we have a little bio here. Solo Missions is a song about depression, losing friendships, betrayal, loneliness, anger, and finding my way back from the darkness that consumed my mind at the time. Eventually gaining perspective through these challenges and turning them into strengths rather than weaknesses, I emerged from the darkness, shining brighter than ever before. No longer a victim of my reality, rather the co-creator. And yeah, that's awesome. So we're gonna listen through this track from start till finish and hear what we think. Let's do it. Let's go. What do we have? Oh, loving the vocal chops with the piano line. Oh. Oh. Their production is polished. Hang on a minute. Let me just do something real quick. No, we're all good. No, we're all good. Just because I saw the pixelation there for a moment, I wasn't sure if that was my internet or not. Best for the kid, ain't blessing me. They don't check for the kid, shit is blessed for me. I just do this on my own. Yeah. I know they lucky, yeah, wishing for my downfall. Hey, I can't be focused on the things that hold me down, no. I'm loving the cool response between the main vocals and the backing vocals. I'm also digging the tightness of the production and the side chaining those kicks and the snare drum and the tone of it and the presence of it. Ain't no way to be free. I always wanna try to see me down, drowning cold. Not a lot of real ones down this road. They don't see me, so they need to speak down. Drowning cold. They want me. I like the way the vocals are panned to the sides as well, and the hi-hat there is nice and resonant without being a little bit too much. You know, sometimes you can get a little bit of a peak in that 3 to 4 kilohertz range, but it's been mixed and mastered well. Yeah, you wasn't down in the first place. Fuck it, I just do this on my own. You wanna kick me in the rep, girl. You wanna go silence on the lamp, girl. You never thought I could make it, girl. And the funny thing, everyone a hit, girl. Wow, never call. Speaking down my life, you ain't wipe top it all. Miserable about your place, so we hoping not fall. Pray to the face, but emotions so scrawl. I'm liking the repetition of these vocal melodies as well. It's a very conversational musical performance, you know. He's not trying to overhype it or anything like that. It's like he's trying to be sincere with the way he's approaching you as a listener. Dark nights, but it's back to light. Depressed for a while, now it's back to life. I got great news, but you ain't acting hype. I got no time for you if you ain't acting right. So we dab on the low until we can't get faded. They throw traps on the low because I can't escape the matrix, yeah. Wanna see me down, drown in the cold. Wanna see me down, yeah, I know. It's a groovy drum beat and the accompaniment is fantastic, but obviously what the lyrics are discussing are quite intense. You know, it's someone who has just come out of that hole and, you know, they seem relatively relieved to be out of there, but they've gone through some stuff, you know? Yeah, and it sounds like other people wanted them down. I'm glad that he didn't let them push him down, you know? Wanna see me down on it, yeah. They don't wanna see me drive on it. Oh, they can't stand to see me shine on it, yeah. So we ride along and I just carry on. Oh my. Okay, I'm assuming that yeah, obviously this is the single art here as well. Just to comment on the way that the actual the motif is. You just got those 3 chords, right? Is there variation on the second time? Yeah, I got to carry on. Yeah, life amazing. Yeah, I'm just embracing me. We'll carry on. My life, nice way to fade it out. Really gentle fade out, actually. I'm kind of digging that vibe. Mighel Akando with yeah, Solo Missions.
Interesting, because this is the conclusion of my review of this track by Mighel Akando. What do I think it's about? Well, I mean, I think we know what it's about. We read the little thing at the start, but also I think just it reinforces the track that there are obviously external forces that were trying to drive Mighel down, and obviously they didn't succeed because he's bounced back, you know. I'm glad that he came out of that. You know, I think the issues of mental health and stuff like that are something that a lot of people will struggle with and in their lifetimes, you know. And there's various reasons for that. And I think there'll be a lot of people who can relate and maybe even like benefit from hearing the story of someone who has managed to overcome it. You know, it doesn't, how do I say this? It doesn't minimize the struggle. It's not like, oh, just be more positive and you'll be better. You know, like he's showing some vulnerability there. He's showing some humanity there within his vocal performance and also within the story, which I appreciate. And I just think it's a little bit more real than what you come across sometimes, especially from, you know, everyone has their own journey. But I'm grateful to have heard the story from Mighel today. Very grateful for that. It's a privilege for people to open themselves up like that, you know. The vocal performance itself was well done. I was happy with it for the most part. The notes were hit cleanly. I liked both the sound of the main vocals and also the ones on the sides. You know, there were little overdubs and extra tracks recorded and stuff like that. I liked the resonance, the reverb of them. The way they were kind of pitched and mixed, and the way they also were kind of misty sounding as well, as if we're in our own heads, you know. I liked that. I liked the coloration of it as well. I think there were some pretty harmonies that were going on there, especially in those hook parts. There was a sense of sameness to it throughout the track, which I'm typically 50-50 about, primarily because I like there to be range. Like, I'm not saying it was exactly the same the whole way through. How do I say this? I don't want to come across like I'm giving the wrong idea. I think that the vocal performance was done well. I think just having a few more bits of silence occasionally, just to allow the accompaniment, just for a person to think about what the singer is saying. Because if you have the vocals for most, if not all, of the song, that's cool. The guy's voice is great. But just allowing just a moment to sort of process all the information that's coming at you. That's a very subjective thing. You know, I know there are genres of music where like literally it's overwhelming and overbearing for the majority of the time, and that's not a bad thing. And by no means am I saying that I'm unhappy with the vocal performance itself. It's just there was quite a lot to take in for the most part, even within a 3:10 form factor. But I'm sure again, if you like, I like the vocal performance, so it's fine. It's just if the track was longer, we might need maybe another sort of lead voice or something like that, and the accompaniment sort of like kind of have a little more change in the overall arrangement. But that's fine, you know. The actual motif for the track had that jazzy sort of sophistication with the extensions on those keys and everything like that. I liked how the bass and the drums rolled into it. I liked how the vocals were like a really integral part to that main concept, and I liked how everything sort of worked together and had a great sort of sense of harmony and chemistry. I enjoyed the fact that despite the fact that, you know, we didn't really sort of change or sort of screw with it too much, you know, it was still compelling the whole way through. Again, I think it's one of those things where the time of the track, the structure of it being like 3:10 with some verses and choruses and stuff like that, and with the fade out at the end, I think that's short enough that you can typically get away with it. But of course, if we had a longer track, it might be worth having like a different sort of chord progression or a different bass line or something like that. And again, I'm not saying there weren't adaptations, like there were things taken away and brought back and stuff like that. So it's not like I'm saying that it needed to be changed. It's just, yeah, I think for the length it was, the idea of having that one main motif throughout worked. The actual performance with the instruments like the keys and the bass and everything like that was fantastic. It was nice and colorful, really pretty sounding. It kind of made me imagine someone who's sort of sitting in a room, kind of like trying to sort of like speak, sort of talk it out, like kind of go, you know, and it goes with the friendliness of the actual vocal performance itself. We have someone who goes, oh yeah, definitely, you know, I enjoy listening to this guy sing, right? So when you've got a similar softness and gentle nature with the backing instruments and the other parts of the rhythm and harmony, you've got yourself a really good combination there. So well done on that front. I think that we couldn't have necessarily gotten away with communicating the complexity of the situation without those extensions, and I like the fact that we're breaking up those chords as well, and we had a sort of a consistency with the rhythm. Again, something I'm not usually sort of like super fond of, but having a similar sort of like drum beat for most of the time helped to keep that groove sort of almost hypnotic whilst we hear the story. Finally, the recording, mixing, and mastering. The production was great. You know, I liked there was great recording quality. I like the vocals and the various instruments, whether they were recorded or sampled. You know, I'm keen on that. You know, it's good. The EQing and filtering and placement of things in the stereo field, especially with those backing vocals and a little bits of automation and stuff like that, were phenomenal. There were no weird resonances or anything like that as well. Things were nicely EQ'd and notched, and like in the frequency spectrum as well. The limiting compression was nice and tight, and I think just I have to be thankful for the fact that as a first impression it sounds quite professional. So well done to Mighel Akando with Solo Missions. This is effectively my review of the track. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show Mighel some love via their various social medias and a YouTube page, and stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.